I've been recording this whole time, so
Yeah, me too.
okay, well that works out.
Anyway,
See? Planning. Welcome back, listeners, or if you are new, welcome to the Digital Divide podcast. I am Justin Fry.
and I am Joshua Charletto.
This is episode 16, so let's cut to the chase. Okay, well, tell me about your news article.
What about my news article? So this guy sued Google
Oh.
over the quote location history fiasco end quote. So I guess Google has been tracking.
Google?
I'm sorry.
What?
I cannot believe why anybody in their right, wrong, or sideways mind would think that this is shocking. But I guess Google was tracking people
No way.
and not necessarily saying that they were, which I get the idea that they didn't say it, but if you don't already assume that Google tracks you no matter whom you are,
Yeah.
or where you are, or what you're
This is
doing,
kind of the norm at this point.
that's what they do. That's their game.
That's why they're so good. They just know how you think because they listen to you the whole time.
Right. FYI, people. Okay, people. Now this is the podcast, I guess, right?
This is a PSA.
PSA. If you are logged into Google in your browser, they are tracking everything you do. If you are not logged into Google in your browser, they are tracking everything you do by your IP. So they are always tracking you. If you are searching on Google, they're tracking you, either by IP or by your login. They are tracking what you do. So to think for one moment that they are not tracking you, you are being naive. That is how Google works. This is why some of the more harebrained, I'll call them, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to be nice, because they're not bad people. The harebrained people who know too much, like us, about how all this works, they will try to force their way into using other search engines, such as DuckDuckGo, which I think at one point was just using Google
What
search
the heck is
anyway.
DuckDuckGo?
You've never heard of DuckDuckGo? It's actually
DuckDuckGo.
you can go into Safari and turn it on as your your main search engine.
The search engine that doesn't track you.
There
Well,
you
that's
go.
not.
See, it's even in their tagline.
That doesn't sound very exciting. Like the whole point of Google was to learn.
There's a trade-off. There's a trade-off with Google. You agree to be tracked or have your data tracked, whether that be tied to your name or your IP, and they will give you the best search engine and algorithms, period. But I don't think everybody goes into Google with that main idea. So they are, some people feel like they're not being truthful or being deceitful, which isn't true. You just haven't read through it or figured it out. So,
Huh.
but yeah, DuckDuckGo, there's some crazy people who use that. Sorry, guys, it is a little crazy. Um, that's just one example. So yeah, this guy sued Google, which I mean, yeah, they didn't really say. I guess something came out a while ago, or maybe last week or a week ago, that Google has been tracking Android phones without telling people like their location.
Yeah.
Um, has been tracking Android phones' locations without telling people. That's the better way to say it.
Interesting.
And even when people had it turned off. And again, you're using a Google OS on a phone that uses the Google OS. There's
Duh.
no way they're not going to have like base knowledge of what you're doing and why. So, I don't know.
It's a trade-off. I had a conversation with a family member over the weekend that was talking about how he's gotten to a point where he just assumes that our generation, end quote, is it just accepting the fact that everybody's tracking us and we're okay with it. And I guess that's the truth in some sense, because I just figured after signing up and adding extensions and things like that yes, Google is learning what I'm searching for. It's using that algorithm to help me search for things faster, find products faster, things like that. And I'm okay with that. And same thing with like Google Photos, when it was adding people's like faces, pictures of the same face into an album for me, and then producing an album for me without me even saying go ahead. It just did
Which
it.
is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, and they do a great job. Uh, I think it's awesome. It takes the time, it takes the timestamp, it takes the location. It'll take the people and like even tag them sometimes if you're emailing them back and forth. If you have tagged them in the previous pictures in Google Photos, so I don't care. I guess I don't. I'm numb to it now, and it doesn't bother me. So
Yeah, I don't disagree with him. Wait, that's a double negative. I agree with him. He's right. I think that a lot of the younger generation, me and some others included, have just kind of thrown our hands up and said, "Well, I'm not hiding anything, so what's the big deal?"
yeah, exactly.
And that's not really the right answer because privacy should just be something that you have. I don't want to say the word right because that's not
Or just
necessarily. Well,
don't
I don't
post
know.
anything you don't want people to know about. I mean, or
But
I don't get it.
But the problem is that when people talk about it that way, that they shouldn't be watching you and you've just given up and given your privacy away, it's almost coming from a place like all of those different services and companies are tied together and working together to track everything that you do, and that's not true. I mean, Google's tracking everything you do, but they're also going to hold all of that to their chest as much as possible
Yeah.
because that's how they make their money. They take all that, they in theory, anonymize it, and then they hand it off to third parties as the product.
Right.
So, but they're not going to share that with Facebook, and Facebook isn't sharing with them.
Oh no,
And
of course not.
they're going to guard that with their lives. And it's not like it's the government who has all of it, put together. So, I don't know. It's yet to shake out how all this is going to go. But anyway, this guy sued Google because they did that, and I'll put the show note. I'm sorry, I'll put the article in the show notes.
Yeah, I just put a link in the show notes to the DuckDuckGo website, and then if you have a chance, make sure y'all go and check out. They have like a section of why protecting your device or your data is important, and it's really funny. I will say that the imagery that they have in that I will call it like a document or almost like you you need to know. I don't know what you would call those. Not PSA, but it's just like an ad to get you to jump on board. It's basically like a grassroots policy. I'm struggling. What word am I looking for, Josh? Campaigning. My God.
Yeah.
Like campaigning to jump on board with legislation and etc. to protect your privacy. The imagery, they have like these weird pictures of monsters looking at you and attacking your devices. So
And ghosts.
yeah, it's interesting. But my article is actually more again on Apple, of course, through an Apple News website called Six Colors.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's a very good one. You guys, there will be a link in the show notes. But surprise, surprise, there's been speculation if you're an avid Apple fan or if you've been listening in on the tech talks between Apple that supposedly there has been information not leaked but given to or reported through Bloomberg, Mark Gurman, and Debbie Wu, saying that Apple will release 2 new Macs this fall. One would be the a long-awaited upgrade to the Mac Mini, which Josh has. I don't. What it looks like is that they're saying it's going to be more of like a pro-leaning device, which is very odd.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes, because that would mean that it's expensive, and the whole point of the Mac Mini was to be like a more economical Mac. So
yes.
That you hook up to your own external monitor. So
which, when they update it, is true and awesome.
Yes, true. So that'd be very interesting to see. And I don't know why they would be focusing on pro users because I would hope that they'd be spreading out the clientele from the price point so that you would have people looking just to pick up the cheapest Mac to pick up the Mac Mini. And by adding it and putting it more into a pro environment, I don't think that's really going to help them. But who am I to say? And then the second one was they're not going to be updating the MacBook Air, but there's going to be a MacBook that's supposed to replace the MacBook Air. as the most quote economical MacBook you can get by finally getting rid of that hideous screen and putting the Retina screen in it, which will be nice because the Apple MacBook Air is very outdated. Well, at least the screen is. I mean, it looks garbage compared to everything else once you get used to the Retina. So it's about time they did that.
Yes, true. The Mac Mini was last updated October 2014, so 1,404 days since last release.
That
Which
is a lot.
is pretty long. This is the longest we've seen.
Yes, I believe so.
The second longest was October 2012, which was 723 days prior to or after release. So it's yeah, it usually doesn't get a lot of love.
No.
Apple doesn't like giving love to their low-end products.
And it's really cool because I think the Mac Mini is very versatile. When it was at its prime, it could have been used for various things. If you were using it for a multimedia center, a lot of people used it, I guess, for server farms. So,
yeah, you ever hear about what was it? Something Colo?
No.
Mini Colo, Mac Mini Colo.
I came into the Apple, or I guess more like the Macworld in 2014.
Oh yeah, it was like some people, obviously it's people because aliens don't exist yet. It was like a warehouse where they bought all this colo space for like a data center, and you could either purchase your Mac Mini from them and they would then put it in a rack for you.
Oh.
Or you could send them a Mac Mini
yes.
and they would put it in a rack for you.
There was a picture of this a long
time
ago.
So people would like have racks and racks of Mac Minis doing things for them as servers. It was pretty cool.
I know there was one for like the MacBook, the Mac Pro. They had one. I don't think this is the one I'm looking at, but
well, the one I'm thinking of is called Mac Mini Colo.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah, so it was a pretty cool thing they were doing, and obviously still doing.
Wow, that if that's a serious picture of their data center, that looks super clean, and I like it.
Isn't it cool looking?
It's so crisp.
And they just like slide them in, and then you've got your server, and you can send them yours, or you can buy one from them.
My God, it's huge.
Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, well, I don't want to get too much into this, but that's pretty cool. Check out I'm now going to be looking at this after this show. And figuring that out. But yeah, that's what I had for this week. But no one cares about that because I have some good follow-up, Josh.
Well, wait a minute. I cared about that. I thought that was a good news article.
It was, but
okay.
Okay. Well, let me go back really quick before we go in. One, I would like to eventually get a Mac Mini because I think that'd be very nice to have as just like a small little station. But we'll see if they end up going Pro, because that would basically turn me away from buying that and just sticking with eventually getting an iMac. So
yeah, the cool thing about the Mini, I'm all for the full Magic Box feel with Apple. If you can do that, that's the best. But if you want to save a little money, the Mini's pretty great. And sometimes you can buy a little bit more computer, in theory, with the Mini as well. So if they go Pro, maybe that'd be cool. I don't know. I don't believe that's ever going to happen. They give so little love to the Mini that I just don't see it. So
well, we have 2 months, I think. Well, because September we have the phone update, and then November, like October, November, mainly. I think it's October is when we get the like Mac and iMac and all that jazz refresh. So we'll see. But that's to be determined still. Okay, so Josh, in follow-up, I'm still playing Breath of the Wild.
I'm shocked.
And I am 2 Divine Beasts in. I've freed, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right. Is it Vah-Ruta? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, you got it.
Vah-Ruta and Vah-Medoh?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Close enough. So, yeah, it's been one of those things where I start doing the main quest, and I'm like, I need to get I feel like I have to free the Divine Beasts to get all the cool stuff in the Hyrule Castle.
Yep, Hyrule.
Hyrule. I call it Hyrule.
Okay. Well, you're wrong, but you can call it whatever you want.
That's fine. This is a free world, so.
Is it?
Oh
my goodness.
God.
I had no idea.
But yeah, so I'm still loving it. I I'm trying to refrain from looking online on when I get stuck, so I'm doing a pretty good job of that. I think my favorite so far was the second one I just did, the Vom Meadow or however you say it. Just because of the puzzles were really fun and the battle was fun because I ran out of arrows halfway through.
Which one was that? Was it the
Flying one.
The bird one? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, I ran out of arrows halfway through somehow, and so I was constantly like running around. And as soon as he got close to the ground on the second wave, where you have to take out the rest of his health, I was just bull rushing him with everything I had because I ran out of arrows. So
this is the fun and the beauty of that game, and that is that there's no right way to play that game.
Yeah.
Like, you find your way to get through the different parts of that game.
Yeah.
And no way is wrong. And that's the best part about it. So
it worked out. So I'm
awesome.
I'm
well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yes. I think the next one I'm going to get after I play this, which will be for a very long time, I'm definitely going to pick up Stardew Valley. I'm going to play this more. I want to get farther in Breath of the Wild. Want to experience like some of the side quests that I heard are really good. Some of the puzzles that I haven't gone in. I want to try and complete it as much as possible, even though it's such a huge game and there's already a DLC, which I don't have. So
I don't either.
Anyways.
So don't feel bad about that. I will say one thing. Now that you're getting into it, it's awesome. Make sure to get all of the Zelda memories before you finish the game.
Good to know.
You know how you can go find spots where you remember things?
I think I have 5 right now.
Awesome. Find them all. And they're not hard.
No.
Find them all. And you get a better ending. So do that.
Good to know.
Cool.
Do you have anything to follow up on this week?
No, I'm not that cool.
I'll leave that up for everybody else. No, you don't get a rebuttal at all? Nothing?
No, I'm good. No,
Okay.
I said what I was going to say.
All right, so we kind of talked about this before. But Josh, are you having a dilemma on something right now? Is there something you're having a dilemma on?
Not really. It's just...
Express to me your feelings right now.
Okay.
Man talk.
I don't like doing work. Okay.
Whoa.
I did it. No. So I have tried a lot of different... I'm gonna use a catch-all term here. Task management systems. Ugh, I hate that term.
What is that? Please explain.
That's like you have a system where you... How do I put it? You have a system where you have thought through the system, so you don't have to think through the system in order to get stuff done. In other words, there's so little friction between you and getting things done that you just do what you need to do to get things done. So I think that's probably the best way to put it,
Yeah,
or at least
guess.
I think that's what I'm searching for, maybe. Because
What are you doing now?
right now,
Yes.
right this very instant,
What are you
at
doing
work,
now to organize your life? What is your
it's gonna
current
sound,
method?
This is going to sound bad. You're going to get upset. You're going to make
I
fun
know
of
I
me.
am. That's why I'm asking you.
I don't want to get made fun of, though.
That's fine.
Right now, I'm using note cards.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I was drinking water and I almost choked.
Literally, I'm using index cards.
Okay, what size index cards are you using?
3x5s.
Okay, those are tiny.
This is a system that I've used. It's kind of like my fallback system, and systems are really, really loose word for this. But the idea is that instead of having a list, which overwhelms me, you have the tasks written one by one on separate note cards.
So, like, hold on. One of them on the plain side where no lines are. Do you have task 1, and then at the back it says eat breakfast?
No, you've already thought through it way too much at that point.
Okay.
So we'll get into kind of our different philosophies, because I think that's kind of interesting about how we both approach this.
Yeah.
But what I do is okay, how do I do this without being super crazy? Okay, let me just describe it then. I'll just describe it. No, I get it. You're right. It is too late. I'll just describe it. So if I need to, say, call Johnny about router B,
Mm-hmm.
I need to call Johnny about router B. I will write on the empty side, you're right, no lines, nothing. I write, call Johnny about router B, and then I put that in the pile of note cards. So the idea is that then I physically have this thing that I can hold and take with me and make notes on if I want to, which I don't usually make notes on them. I just leave them blank and they have the one task. But I
Okay.
can then take them and physically order them in the order that I want to do them in. Like I can physically like spread them out and go, okay, well this one is clearly the most important, so that goes on top. And then the one that's next important, and then so on and so on and so on. And I can keep like thumbing through them and physically ordering them.
Mm-hmm.
And then as new tasks come in, I can then physically put that in the said order. And usually it's like, it's not necessarily always the most important. Sometimes if I know something's really fast, I can go through there and be like, okay, this is like a 2 minute thing. I'll just do it right now. And then I do it, and then I rip the note card up and it's gone. And
Okay.
the pile is smaller. So it's like a very physical, like very quick. You're not going to forget anything. It's all there, and yet it's very easy, and I don't have to categorize anything, and then I can still spread it out, and get an overview if I want to,
Okay.
or I can do I want to do this right now, so it's on top, and you don't see any of the other tasks, just the one you're working on. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
it's dumb. It's super, super
I
dumb.
wouldn't say dumb. It's just I feel like
The problem is for
you
me.
can't like erase those. Now you've wasted that piece of paper and you have to throw it
No, that's
away.
good. No, 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 that's good. I don't want to erase. What? Who would erase it? I want to rip that thing up. I want to rip it up and throw it away. That task is done, and I will never use that physical object again. It is gone out of my
Okay.
life.
I see what you.
Done.
It's like you're physically completing the task by
Yeah,
throwing it in the garbage or
yeah, it's
recycling the
gone.
bin.
Nobody. I'm not gonna erase it.
Okay.
Plus, note cards are cheap, so
I guess yeah.
I'm sorry, green people. I'm throwing. It's going in the recycling. Okay, it's going in the recycling. All right, so that's my current system.
Yes.
And this is after what had happened was I tried to use I name it after the person that I took after using it. So I'm not going to name him because that would use his name. Um, but it's a method where you place everything, including tasks, on your calendar. And I like that idea a lot, except in practice. Now you're going in there and you're fiddling with all this garbage on your calendar all the time, and it's super messy. And then you're moving things over from the day before or the week before, and now you're trying to move them around so they don't overlap each other, but then you're also trying to size them correctly so that they take the right amount of time on your calendar. The advantage here, though, is that you can block off time to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's really important, you can just set it to busy in Outlook so that that block of time is now yours. Nobody's going to, schedule over top your busy time. I like that aspect of it, but like having to manage small little blocks
Yeah.
named different things on your calendar all over the place is ridiculous. Like
Well,
that's way more work than it's worth.
well, let me jump in because this
Please.
is something that I've done and continue to do only when I need to. And what I mean by this is that it's like uh, defensive planning or defensive
Before you
camp.
before you do that though,
What?
my idea was to block the time off as general work, right? So like it's like, okay, this is the general work block so that
Oh,
you are blocking that time off for yourself, but you don't have to manage like naming it something and figuring out how much time and blah blah. You
oh,
just say from here to here, I'm doing work here for me, and people cannot then
interrupt you.
schedule over it. I think that's probably the way to fix that problem.
Yeah, because what I've tried to tackle in the past was it was basically defensive planning, and it was just so that I knew I had a lot to get done, and I wanted to make sure that nobody planned meetings so that I can sit and not get something done. So I would essentially just plan, take an hour block from 9 to 10, and say blank task, whatever task it was, whatever I needed to get done. And that way people can they look at my calendar to try and find when they can set up a meeting, and then they would just see that I was busy from 9 to 10 and then pick something else, which to me actually works sometimes. Or I guess it works most of the time for me, but sometimes it can ruin, like when I actually need to have a meeting and I forget that I can be defensive when I plan on my calendar, and then somebody's like, "Yo, are you not free for this whole week?" And I go, "Ooh, yeah."
Well, see, I think the answer to that though is you don't plan that far ahead. You go, okay, tomorrow I need to do things. Where can I fit it in?
Yeah.
And then you block that up so that people can still put stuff on your calendar for the week, but not necessarily for that same day. Because that's the super bothersome thing, right? Like, we didn't talk about this. Why are you putting stuff on my calendar today?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. So, explain more. I didn't mean to cut you off, but...
No, you didn't. I was talking a lot. I appreciate somebody else talking. So that's where it came out of, because I had come off of that whole I'm putting every task on my calendar thing, which was ridiculous. And I'd never done that before, and I wanted to try it, and I got super overwhelmed, and I had to fall back to something really simple and straightforward so I didn't forget things, but also didn't have to think about it.
Okay.
And I think that kind of brings up the difference between you and I. Mm-hmm. Like, from a fundamental level, I approach task management, and again, quotes, task
generalizing
management.
It, yeah. I get it.
I approach it as I want a system that I can input all this information into and have the least amount of work in the system, so I don't have to think about the system, and I don't have to do any work with the system, but yet somehow I won't forget anything or misplace anything, and I'll know how to do my stuff. And that's not possible because you need to do work in the system in order for it to do that kind of work for you.
Right.
It's not magical, but that's what I'm always driving towards, even though it's fictional.
Yeah.
So I know that the planners of the world, you, Justin Fry, that is not how you approach it.
No.
So tell me what your philosophy is.
Well, you kind of already mentioned it, but I'd like to plan as much as I can. For me, it's knowing what to expect and to avoid any surprises. Planning for me is making sure that I have all my ducks in a row, and that could be anything. For example, like planning, building something. I want to make sure that I have all the materials that I need to get, so that when I go to the store to buy them, I don't have to sit and stare at 4 different pieces of lumber and figure out which one I want because it's like a better grain or whatever it might be. I want to know this is what I'm getting so that I can get back and start the task as soon as possible instead of spending all that time figuring it out. So planning for me has always been beneficial, and the more planning you do, the better the results from that task will be. And after years of doing this, making sure that the time that I'm spending to plan doesn't always create a burden for me. That's
where I always fall down a hole.
Yeah, exactly. And so you were just mentioning trying to do the most minimal work, but still have something remind you to do something, and it just also organizes your tasks in general so that you can, when you're done, just toss it aside.
Yeah, I want magic, basically.
Yeah, well...
If I could have some magic, that would be great.
There's things that kind of do that, and like I'm trying to... Because I like to use tasks, like, for example, there's several hundred bajillion applications out there that I'm sure people can go and recommend. Like Trello is a Kanban board, and Kanban boards, if nobody knows what that is, it's essentially just a task board that has columns that are to do, like, in progress, and this is simplifying it, to do, in progress, and done. And literally you create these cards and type in the task, and some applications allow you to go really deep in those cards to fill in, like you can add attachments, create comments within that task, or just simply write text and say clean my room and put it in the to do, and then
clean my room.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the simple things. You take it and you drag it into the in progress when you're doing it, and you drag it into to do. And for some people that feels good to complete tasks. I'm like one of those people who likes tasks and the feeling of completing them by literally dragging and dropping. But for you, Josh, you want it to
ripping it up.
Yeah, exactly. for you, it's you're throwing that card away.
So, real quick, I want to interject. I have tried almost every major task management application and
I
app.
believe you've tried a
So,
lot. Yes,
almost every
not
major.
possible.
Almost every major.
Yes.
Like
So
I haven't tried OmniFocus because that's $40 for the iOS app
yes,
and $99. No, now it's $79 for the Mac app. And sorry,
I would not
no thanks.
recommend that for somebody who doesn't like the plan. Like that isn't something for you.
Well, but see, if I bought into the system, I see what you're saying. However, but if I bought into the system and it was a like I had already pre-done all the front end work, in theory, people always say that then it kind of runs itself where you just keep
Yeah.
inputting stuff into the right spots. But again, I think that I would get overwhelmed with all that much stuff and having to, you know, always keep that system straight and always keep it working and always do it just right in order to make sure that I get the right output from it. That's that's a lot.
Yeah, and the thing I can't recommend to you is really using any of these applications because I feel like you have to get over the fact that you will need to put, and this is me telling you, you're gonna have to put effort into it. Like you won't get what you want unless you put the effort into it, and that means you're going to find an application, whether it's Trello, Notion, Asana, OmniFocus. There's a whole bunch. Todoist. Like there are apps out there that will let you do this on all platforms.
Yeah, and I've tried Todoist. I'm trying to think of the ones off the top of my head. So tried Todoist, Wunderlist, Things,
Yeah,
Trello. Um, what else? I even used the like Markdown based task paper. Um, yeah, so
yeah, and
basically, yeah.
you've done physical. You've physically. I'm just reiterating this for users or listeners, but you've had journals that you've used. You, at one point, I recommended because I was doing it too, but I had a journal, like a calendar journal, I guess is what you would call it. It had Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I would write my tasks, and it was like a checklist for me, and I was physically writing and crossing off. But to me, that got really annoying because like I had run out of space, and I'd have to erase things and then cross things off. It just didn't work. It was messy and unorganized. And you've tried that,
Yes.
and now you're trying this note card thing, and that's another avenue for you. And it almost seems like that's better, but I thought you were a really big fan of like the reminders on your phone, like when you
I do. So it's a combination.
yeah
Um, and just to back up, what I did with the journaling, so people can look it up, I actually did. It's called the Bullet Journal, and it's actually really neat. And I actually used that for almost a year. Um, and the idea is that I forget what the tagline is. It's like analog task management or analog something something for the digital lifestyle. And the idea is that you are very quickly and easily collecting all of the stuff you're doing while still using it as like a makeshift planner. So the idea is that you're basically taking a blank journal or a blank, I don't know, notebook, and you're drawing out, okay, here's this section that is this month's quote calendar that I will put certain things that I need to remember on, and then every day has a new spread
yeah
of 2 pages that you can then write, or not every day, I'm sorry, every week, and then you're putting down the tasks for that day, and then each week, the nice thing about it and why it worked for me was that each week then I would do like a review of that week and be like, okay, well, I didn't do this, this, and this, and that should carry over to the next week, so I'm going to move that over. And then I did complete that. So, I mean, it was like a physical forcing me to review everything that I had been doing. The
yeah
problem is, and this is the hang up, the tool didn't work for me because I can't carry that everywhere. And then this plays into why I got so big into, well, one of the other reasons why I got so big into like my phone and the reminders.
hmm
So I started really heavily using the reminders as well for my phone. combined with this, and that's kind of what I do now. So now I'm using the reminders on my phone when I don't have things with me that I use as my system. So right now, say those note cards that I was talking about. I'm not going to carry them all over the place. That'd be ridiculous. So instead, I'll either take notes on my phone that then I will review later and turn into note cards as like a processing stage, or I'll just create reminders on my phone to remind me to look at this task at a certain time. Like when I get to work, remind me about Johnny and his router when I get to work. And then it pops up when I get to work, and then maybe I'll make a note card or maybe I'll take care of it right then. So it's like this weird amalgamation of like tools that I'm using.
Hmm. Well, I have other ideas then for you. Because
It's weird because I'm stuck in between. And I'm before you say your other tools, and I don't mean to interrupt.
you're fine. Not. I mean,
I
it's not
want
like it's really
everything, and
crazy.
that's the problem. I don't want to carry other things with me. I'm already carrying my phone, right? Like I don't want to carry extra stuff.
Yes.
That's more stuff to remember, more
But
stuff to take with me. And yet, the phone doesn't work because it's not fast and easy to capture stuff in a meaningful way. Like I can easily tell Siri to remind me when I get somewhere, or remind me in an hour,
right.
or remind me, or add to my reminders. But that then just goes into this general inbox bucket that I need to remember about later. So that's otherwise I could go like type some stuff into my phone, but that's not fast. That's like, okay, I'm typing stuff in my phone now, and then I'm that guy. So it's a weird set of, I don't know, tool issues.
Okay. So when you said something, I actually had an idea. So I wrote it down so I didn't forget. But or typed it down. I tend to do that. Writing it and typing it is the same thing.
Sure.
Uh, so you just said you don't want to carry something around extra. What if
Correct.
it was small? I mean, because that's what that little bullet list thing that you had, that was pretty small. And I see there's a couple of people at work that carry that as well. And it works for them because they just jot it down. But how good is your handwriting? I mean, can you read your handwriting pretty well,
Yeah.
even if you're
Yeah.
writing fast?
I can't promise everybody can, but I can.
Well, as long as you
I
can.
haven't ever gotten to the point where I've been like, I can't read that. What did I write?
Yeah.
So,
Well, my handwriting is absolutely terrible. So that's another reason why I don't write. And that's why I use applications to figure it out. I swear to God, it's bad. I remember in high school and like middle school and college when I'd write notes, and I think in college I hit that it only took me 12 years to figure out maybe I shouldn't write and I should just type. Was when I think I wrote like 4 pages of notes for my senior thesis, and I couldn't read any of it.
oh Lord, that's bad.
Yeah, and it was like late at night, and like I like was cramming something in, and I wanted to make sure I can get it done, and wrote the notes. Like the next day, I go to type up just some, maybe some paragraphs, and I went to go read it and went, I can't understand any of this. Look, my Q's and G's look the same. Like, my
Oh
handwriting
boy.
is so bad, and that was the realization that I should start using apps. So that's why since college, I've been using um, all the GTD tasks and whatnot. But
You were the kid who used the assignment notebook, didn't you?
oh yeah,
Oh God, I threw mine in the trash.
oh
Sorry,
yeah,
go on.
I totally use the assignment
I
notebook.
think that is the best analog for the differences between our preferences. Ah, you're telling me what to use, and it has to be this? I don't want to use this.
Yeah, I love that thing.
No thanks.
Uh, you know what? I stuck with what people told me to do, which, contrary to beliefs, a lot of people, like my mom will say that I was a rebel. Ha! I was a nuisance during a period of time, but really, half the time I just went with what people told me to do because it was easy. Uh, but let's get back to the fact that
Sure,
I
get it back.
had an idea, two-part idea. Well, one, get over the fact that you're gonna have to carry something different if you like writing, because when you write, does it help you remember the task better?
Okay, let's qualify all of the things you just said. I don't like writing. I personally I've said it on the podcast too.
Yes, but does it make it easier for you to remember?
Paper is antiquated. Even though it's the thing to beat, it needs to go away. It should all be digitized. And yet, the answer to your question is absolutely yes. Sometimes I remember things better by writing it down physically,
Okay. Are
which
you
is hard for me to admit that that's true.
But the reason why I'm saying that is like I'm a visual learner, and that's why I used to. And this is gonna sound really weird, um, but if I'm like reading a document and I'm typing notes for that document, the words have to be in my own words. I can't like use exact verbatim the words to in my notes because then I won't remember what it's about. If I paraphrase it myself and type it in or write it, I remember better. So I can literally go back to that in my brain when I'm whether it was a test or whether it was when I'm typing an essay or a document. I can like flash back to when I wrote that and remember word for word that line, which is really weird. But
Well, I'm with you up until the flashing back, but
mm-hmm.
I do I do thinking on it as you're saying that, realizing, yes, when I paraphrase it myself and I'm right, I guess I should go back. If I'm writing notes from the thing that I'm reading, I do remember more, obviously, and then if I paraphrase it even more, you're right.
Right,
That
and if you
absolutely is
immediately
true.
write it down, you are more. For me, it feels like I'm more likely to remember it and go back to it and reference it if I'm in a like in-depth conversation. Like if somebody says something that sparks an idea in your head, like, immediately you need to write that down because you might lose it, and later on, someone goes, "Hey, did you complete this?" And you're like, "Oh God, no, I forgot." So where I'm going with this, after this took forever to get to this point, um, there's these things called field notes,
Yeah, I've had them.
yeah, and they're fantastic.
Hmm.
Why can't you just use those? I mean, you keep it really basic. You put your task in it. It's smaller, even smaller than that bullet list. It's less daunting, and when you're done with that page, you're done, and you can seal the book up and put it in an organization that you can refer to later if you want to.
Yeah, that's still very structured in a way. I can't describe how. Because the bullet journal was very similar to that. The bullet journal didn't go everywhere with me though, because that was like a hardcover, bigger than your pocket thing. Whereas you can get the field notes ones that are small enough for your pocket. I think that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at them right now, and you can get. I think the original ones are about $9, and they're like roughly about $9 to $12 a pop. So not too bad.
No, it's pretty good. The bullet journals were like $25 a piece,
Yeah, it's
so you can go
really
through
good.
one of those in like 6 months to a year. Um, but it's not a bad idea. It doesn't now. So, okay, so here's my crazy brain. Ready? Crazy brain.
Mm-hmm. And shoot
Okay,
it.
I go buy this field notes guy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now I sit down with his field notes, which wouldn't happen, but that's what I'm going to say I'm going to do. Now, how do I structure what I'm writing down inside of the field notes, right? Because it can't just be, and this is the crazy part, it can't just be stream of consciousness in my crazy brain because I just bought this thing for $9. So there needs to be some kind of structure to putting stuff into this thing so that it's usable. Does that make sense? Is it too crazy or am I making
No,
sense?
it's like you almost would have to have one for each like topic or have like a project maybe.
Because like if you do the this is where I have trouble because I get the idea of stream of consciousness, right? So like, okay, I'm thinking as I'm thinking, I'm writing down, or like you said, I had a great idea, write down, done, right? It's in
And that's
there,
exactly what I
it's
do.
always going to be there. But when do you go back and when do you remember what's in there? In
I
other words, like, is there then some kind of structured time to review? Is there
Yes,
then some kind of structured time, and what? How do you decide when it's time to review?
every Monday or every morning I have
Oh
that,
my
and
God.
halfway
You're
through the
so
day I do
structured, it kills me.
it. I do it every single day. Like, it's literally in my calendar to
Oh God.
review emails and check off to-do list and prioritize my like things I need to do that day. I do that every morning from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock,
Yeah, that's the answer. That's true.
and
That is the
that's
answer.
why you just block it off and you prioritize your day so that when you're moving forward, anything that else comes up, you put it into to do, and that's unless it's like a necessity it needs to get done that day. And like usually right before lunch, I go back and I go, okay, is there anything that I can review again? Is like now that I've moved tasks when they were completed, but is there something I need to review now that needs to be prioritized for the rest of the day? Blah blah.
So
Blah. So,
I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just going to point out I have actually tried so far everything we've talked about. I've tried,
thank
and
God.
the trouble I have with it is that, and again, I'm not trying to be difficult because it's interesting. It's a good discussion. The trouble I have with it is okay. So you review, and this is the GTD process that you're talking about, getting things done.
Yeah.
The capture, so you have this thing with you always. You can capture it anytime you need to, and it's always there. You know it's going to be there. That's great. That's a good first step. Two, then you need to process. So now you set a time every morning where you sit down and you process all the things from previous, and that way you don't miss anything.
Right.
Now, I then need to think through, okay, where am I processing this to? Because why am I carrying a notebook? Like I want the notebook I carry to not only be where I'm capturing, but also the process, right? Like why would I carry an extra notebook to then put it into a secondary system? Like now I have two
Okay.
systems?
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
I can see that, and to each their own. I think.
So you keep, okay, so I'm going to ask you questions now. Haha.
Uh,
So you capture into something. What are you capturing into?
I use Notion.
Okay, so but you're doing that from your phone
I'm
or
doing it from
any
devices.
any computer that you're using basically?
Yes.
So you capture into Notion and then you go through and you process, and where does your processing then go into? Onto your calendar?
No. So kind of. I guess I use a task board, which literally is a Kanban board per project that I work on. And this is
Oh
where
my God, you maintain a Kanban board per
yeah,
project?
yeah. I have one for one, two. I have three Kanban boards, four technically, but three for projects, and I go through each of them. But I've got it down so that it doesn't take me a long time. It takes me like 5 minutes, and then I'm done. And I go into the next one. 5 minutes done. 5 minutes done. And then throughout the day, after I've gotten like the five things that or six things that I need priority for the beginning of the day or that first half of the day, I get those things done and reevaluate, and then get the rest of that done. So, and Notion has the ability to take notes, but also like create tasks and use a calendar to tie those tasks and notes to each other so that this doesn't sync with my work email, which would be nice, but that will never happen at where we work. But it gives me the ability to really just organize everything, and it's really for me super rewarding to drag and drop the task over and
Yeah, I think that's really
complete it.
important in any system is having a way to like, if not physically, like digitally make some kind of change that you can see happen where like, okay, I moved this into the done pile
Right.
or I deleted it or something,
And you can
like I
see
think
it.
that really helps.
You can see that it's still there, like as in if you complete it, and maybe sometimes you want to make sure you went back and you're auditing, did I complete this? And that's nice to see that, yep, I did this, and here's the notes from that task. I can copy that over if I need to send it to somebody as an email because they need reference for it or something like that. So,
Yeah.
but for you, it's like you have to like simplify something,
See,
but
and you described now you're using two systems, and I'm sure there's more, but and you have two different reviews then. You're talking about reviewing both for processing, and you're also talking about reviewing for your tasks because now you have X number of Kanban boards that you need to review on things so that you don't forget to, I don't know, email Susie about the project on
yeah,
Monday for X.
but that's just how it works. I mean, for me, that I've got it down to a science at least,
No,
and
I can see how that would be super organized and also would take you away from being reactionary and being more proactionary.
yeah,
So,
because like
yep.
something comes like that for me, it's huge because there are times where like I'll have amazing ideas and I go awesome, and I'll write it down. I'll be driving in the car and thinking about something for this podcast, and I'll go, yep, I need to write this down, and I'll like quickly at a stoplight, of course, I'll like immediately type it in the notes, and then it's done. Like I just do a quick 6-letter or 6-worded phrase, and I'll remember it later, so that when I come back to it,
You should be using Siri for that, man.
yeah, I could, but I haven't figured out how to do that with Notion. I know you can do it to notes, and then I have to copy it to notes.
Yeah,
blah,
that's
blah,
what I was gonna say. You could just tell her, "Hey, lady, do stuff," and
but
then copy it in later.
But the whole like this is why when we were talking, the same thing happened. You mentioned something about Siri, and then I don't know. So we talked about reminders, and I'm thinking of the update or the iOS 12 that's coming out, and the ability using Siri shortcuts. I bet you we can find something for you where you can say. This would be kind of weird in work because using your personal phone, but maybe it will. But you could create some workflow that like sets a reminder and emails you, or saves in a document for you to review later, or however you want to do it, that you can organize your tasks by just simply saying something, and it can be like a phrase or I don't know, a sentence in it, and Siri will do what you need. Like, I wonder if that's what you need, because it's simple. The setup process will take time because you'll have to set up what you want the workflow to do, but you will, moving forward, just have to say a command phrase, and maybe it'll be easier for you.
Yeah, that could work, or might work, depending on how it works. That was a weird statement. We haven't gotten them yet, so we don't really know how deep you can go, but I see what you're trying to say. Like, hey, lady, create, and then insert name of type of workflow thingamabob with X reminder thing, and then she could dually, like you said,
ask the time or when you need.
Yeah, but like add it to the reminders and or the notes, and or send me an email to be like, okay, now you have the reminder, and you have the notes, and you have an email that when you get somewhere and you check your email, you're like, oh yeah, I gotta put it in the thing with the stuff. I'll add it to the list, so on and so forth. So
I mean, yeah, it's complicated to set up and we don't have it yet, but like I can't. It's hard for me to think of something for you because you're in this area where you want to be organized, but you want it to be as less impactful.
I really just need a personal assistant is really what I need, and I can't afford one.
No.
I need a person who can go, now, what do you want to accomplish? Oh, I want to do this, and we probably need to do it this way, that way, and this way. And then that personal assistant writes it down and like creates a Kanban board for it, and then like comes up with all the different tasks that could be related and people that I would need to contact, and then like moves it for me into the right spot on my calendar. And then I like wake up in the morning, I'm like, hey, look, I should probably do this in 20 minutes.
Or they move it for you, as in they're like watching you, and then once you complete the task, they literally just take the post-it note, move it over. Like, yeah, he's completed this. He's moved on now. It's just this board that they wheel around to your meetings. This big board.
See, like, my problem is that, and I'm being honest, and like this isn't like my life 100%, and I'm over dramatizing it. So, but my problem is that the amount of work to get the thing done needs to outweigh my laziness in order for it to actually happen, right? So that's where the task system needs to be incredibly minimized and minimal and super simple to use. Because my laziness is very powerful, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a master at that kind of thing.
Maybe we need to
and that's why I work very hard to work smarter, not harder. And some people approach that because it's smarter to work smarter than harder, and it makes more sense and is more efficient. I approach it like, I want to do the least amount of work to do the most amount of work. So how do I accomplish that? And that's why automation has always made a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll write a script, and then will do it for me for any amount of hours, and then I don't have to do it.
It's automation. Automation is the tool of the future, so in the present. So
yep.
Well, I think we'll probably have to follow up with this.
We should come back to it. So your suggestion is to have some kind of capture system that I carry with me on paper, correct?
Yeah, that's option one.
And then in addition to then process that into what? What should I process that into? Because I I think maybe a good idea is I'll try it and then come back and we'll follow up with that.
I
So
think you would process it into. Uh, would it be? And this is going to be weird, but would the note cards be too much? Is that like doubling down?
no,
Or
so like I can carry like a small tiny that's what I'm thinking in my head. I'll carry a small tiny stack of note cards that will be easy to capture, right?
yeah,
I'll just
some
oh,
people even
I
like
thought of
carry
this
note
and then just write it
or
real quick.
post-it notes. Like I know people do this all the time. They'll
They
walk around with a
carry
stack of
post-it
post-it
notes?
notes. Yeah,
Really?
they'll have like post-it notes and they'll just go right on it, and then they like stick it to their laptop, and then when they get back
Oh
to their
God.
desk, they
Yeah,
unpeel.
I no, that's never
Okay.
gonna happen because
Oh,
that's then super messy on the laptop and that looks terrible.
I
So
guess yeah. It looks a
I'm
little
such a crazy
ridiculous.
person. I'm so sorry. So okay, I'll carry some note cards with me because that's just I have it on hand.
Hmm.
That'll be easy to carry. I'll take a little pen. That'll be the capture system, which will be fine. And then I'll process that into something. I'll come up with something to process it into, and I'll come back with what my findings are.
Okay, please
All
do.
right. Okay. Thanks, Justin. You're my therapist now, apparently.
I want
That's not
you.
true because I don't think you go to your therapist to talk about your task management system.
No, but I'm sure there's somebody out there, like a personal assistant, that will do that.
The other problem I have, real quick, I just want to point this out, is that
Hmm.
I'm always analyzing and thinking everything. So I may choose a system, but even if it's the best system in the world and it's working out great, I'm going to analyze it again and again and again and rethink it and try something new. That's just my nature. And that's why I work the way that I do and love doing new problems the way that I work.
You got to
Because
complete the task
I
first before
need
the next one.
I need something new to tackle and to think through and have something to do. So like if it becomes too boring, then I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna figure a new task system out, and that's always a problem too. So I'm crazy, really. It's just what the whole premise is.
And no, you're not crazy. You're just trying to find what works for you, and it's just a matter of trying out and like essentially not failing, but trying something out. If it doesn't work, move to the next one because if it doesn't work initially, I'm a strong believer in if it doesn't work initially with the first try, it won't work again. Like if it doesn't click for you, it's not meant for you.
Yeah,
So
probably true.
um, that's where I go with. Kind of, not really. There's no
Yeah,
planning
no.
involved on that.
We'll see, but some of the best stuff comes out of winging it,
Yeah,
or flying by the seat of your pants.
it, in occasions that is the truth, but I don't think all the
I
time.
don't think I've ever heard you be so non-committal with an answer. Like, yeah, some, never.
Never. I don't. I think I could probably count on one hand how many times that I've said, "Sure, well, let's just do it," or "Sure, that sounds fun," without assessing
Yeah,
the what ifs, the how tos, the what's the best plan of action here, how much is this going to cost, how long, how much time do I have to do this, well, what is my commitment level on this?
yeah. Well, see, this is why my wife is my life because she is the planner, and so I get the benefit of having plans and it all being planned out, and I don't have to do any of the work. It's so great. It's like, okay, this is going to be way too much to plan out. And then, ding, it's planned. And I go,
Magic, it's
ah, it
done.
feels better. And I didn't have to do it.
It's like you just say yes, 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 yes. Of course, I'll do that. Whatever you say.
It's a problem though because it if you don't know me and my wife well enough, it comes off as like she gets her way all the time. But that's not true. I don't have to do anything and I still get what I like.
Yeah, and when I met Aaron, I never. I thought I was organized. My mom was always organized. My dad kind of just did his own thing, but when I met her, I went, "Oh, dang! I thought I was a planner, and now I guess I'm in the same boat where I just I agree because she's already planned it out like 800 times
Oh
through,
yeah, and it's probably already great.
and I'm like, cool. I'm
Well,
good
and
with
it's
that.
for me, it's usually like I've never put any thought into that subject, and you're coming to me with upwards of 5 hours of thought into this subject. So why wouldn't we just do what you're saying? Because I have to think through it, and I'm probably going to come to the same conclusion. So
5 hours.
I'm going to use less energy, and then we'll just do what you say because it's awesome.
Like it takes
It's
me
already good.
10 hours to get to your 5 hour planning session. So let's just stick with what you
Let's
said.
just do that. That sounds awesome. Is usually my answer. So
Okay, now this, I'm gonna quickly move to rant session.
yeah, I think you should go first on this one.
Because why, Josh? Why should I go first?
I don't have one right now.
Yeah. This is not helping your situation.
What do you mean? I'm so prepared and organized.
Well, oh man. So over the last week, uh, I had to go to we'll call it training session for 3 days, and one of the days I arrived in my pickup truck to this place, and I got out with a colleague of mine, and we went into this location, and um, somebody at the location said, "Well, I didn't expect you guys to be driving a truck. You guys are nerds." And I said, "Why? Why does that matter?" And they just made the stereotype that, well, nerds don't drive trucks. Why do you need to drive trucks? You work in IT.
Oh boy.
I said, listen here, bud. Just because my job is IT related doesn't mean I'd like to enjoy driving a truck, hauling some, hauling some hay, and towing a tractor on the weekends. So, which I do none of. But it's funny to think that within the last 50 years, everybody's been, until recently really, nerds have been always like
Stereotyped?
stereotyped to be just nerds. Like they don't do any of the manly stuff that nerds look like. The twig with the huge glasses, or not necessarily a twig, but maybe somebody who is a couch potato, I think is the best way to put it. But really, not really. I mean, we're just like everybody else. Some of us look the part, some because they want to. Some of us are just, I don't know, who. That's just who we are. So why does it matter if I drive a truck? And yes, I use it all the time, and I used it this weekend. So eat it.
Wow, that's very specific, but also very true.
Yes, it is. It is true. I love my trucks. Trucks are awesome. They're so useful. And nothing's better than driving in a nice pickup truck, and it's really high up, not lift kit high, because that's a little ridiculous. Now we're talking about a whole different stereotype. But just enough where it's like you're gliding on the road.
I like the height. That's always been a good thing.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm enjoying it. I can see over people all the time now.
Well, so I'm going to make a very general rant,
Oh, joy.
and it'll be short too. Could you please, especially if you're going to be riding in elevators, for goodness sake, wear less perfume?
Oh, man.
Just a little bit here and there, and then you're done. It doesn't take much, and you can smell great and not destroy my nostrils and brain when we're within 5 feet of each other. Thank you. End rant.
I think that was excellent. Because I just had this experience the other day.
It's so bad. Somehow we had won the war against the Axe body spray people who went overboard. We won that war. They're done. Okay? If you still buy Axe body spray, you lost the war. It's over. You can't buy it anymore. Stop it. But we still haven't won the war of people wearing perfume and destroying my nostrils. So if we have to step into a 5x5 enclosed space, please understand that I am looking away from you, not because
Because you look
I don't
weird.
think you're a wonderful person. You are a wonderful person.
But
I
it
just
stinks.
can't breathe.
So if anyone finds Josh in an elevator and he's passed out, it's probably because somebody's
X's in my eyes. What happened to Josh? Nothing.
Yeah, that's great. Oh man, I remember those days. Axe body spray. Like banned those from the boys' locker room because kids would just like tape the top and throw it in like a stink bomb. But it was just,
my gosh.
oh god,
So bad.
And the bad
You know,
thing-
and I think that people actually believed that spraying it on you like literally attracted women to you as if they were like flies, as if they're not real people. They just need to
False.
come to you
False.
like flies.
It's like false advertising, and that's why you don't see that anymore. And that's why Old Spice is awesome because it jokes about it. And
Yeah.
that's
Old
why
Spice
Old
is
Spice
awesome.
is awesome.
We're old men. Okay. Good times. Good rant.
Thank you all for listening to our 16th episode. You can follow the show on Twitter at Digital Divide PC or send us feedback by sending an email to askdigitaldivide@gmail.com. You can find all that information easily at our website at www.digitaldividepodcast.com. Additionally, if you'd like to follow our personal accounts, I am on Twitter at JustinFry121. Josh, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at JCharletto. That's my first initial last name, JCIARLETTO. You can also email me at josh@charletto.com.
And if you like this episode or any of our other episodes, give us a review on iTunes or anywhere you are listening to your podcasts.
Or if you don't like this episode, send that feedback too.
Yeah, the feedback of telling us that this episode sucks is great because
Yeah.
then we know not to do it again.
Exactly. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for cutting me off. As I said, until next time, take care.
Bye.